今日の番組ではドジャースの後半戦を左右する佐々木朗希投手の起用法や山本由伸投手のサイ・ヤング賞獲得の可能性について専門家たちが激しい議論を交わしています。ここからはその様子を字幕付きでご紹介します。
You're going to tell me, are you buying or selling? This is a true fact. And Clint, I'm going to start with you. The first one is Edgardo Enriquez, Big Ed. Are you buying that Enriquez has arrived as a bona fide dude in the Dodgers bullpen, not just for July 2026, but for the foreseeable future?
All the way buying, all the way buying. The fact that we saw him enter a game for only the second time this season where there were other people's runners on base tells me that Dave is buying in as well. This is a guy that has moved up a couple of, pricks on the confidence cactus, and deservedly so, because he has been electric for the better part of, 2-3 months?
Yeah.
He's great. He's been absolutely great. Buying.
No hits allowed in his last 9 1/3. Just 2 hits in his last 11 2/3. 0 earned runs over that stretch. Pop, are you buying that Edgardo Enriquez has arrived fully?
Buying that he will never allow to hit again. Absolutely.
There you go.
Yeah. Edgardo's here. Won't be perfect. There will be bumps, but yeah, he's here. He's got the stuff. He's good.
I hadn't thought about it when I was posting about it today, and someone was like, hey, basically, if you're another team, why wouldn't you be asking for Edgardo Enriquez in any of these trade packages if you're looking for young, controllable, potential, very back end of your bullpen type talent? I hadn't considered him as a trade piece, but if the Dodgers get involved in what would be a massive blockbuster type, I would imagine Enriquez is a name that comes up in some of those conversations. Don't you think, Jeff?
Yes and no. I don't think a reliever can be anywhere near the headline of a big trade for a Tarek Skubal type starter. And so, and it's hard to see him as a throw-in. He's too good to be a throw-in and too much of a reliever to be a headliner. So I think the logistics might be working against him being involved in trades just because of that. But there could be a different kind of trade, especially, the Dodgers have made noise about wanting to stock up the farm system at some positions. And it might be that, if they're going to some team that has an elite shortstop prospect and they're like, yeah, we like a couple of your outfield prospects, but who we really like is Enriquez too. So, an outfield prospect and Enriquez for like an elite shortstop prospect. So I can see something like that happening, but not a blockbuster where the Dodgers are getting back the blockbuster guy. That's my thought.
Okay. Yeah. Second one here, Jack Dreyer. Are you buying or selling? This is an interesting comparison that Jack Dreyer is sneakily following the trajectory of Alex Vesia. The question is Jack Dreyer becoming Alex Vesia 2.0? Here's what I mean. In Alex Vesia's first 2 years with the Dodgers, 25 and 26 years old, he threw 94 1/3 innings, 2.19 ERA, 2.8 expected ERA, 3.01 FIP. In Jack Dreyer's first 2 years with the Dodgers, 26 and 27-year-old seasons, it's a 3 ERA, so quite a bit higher on the ERA. The expected ERA is 2.84, almost identical. The FIP is 3.14, very, very close as well. Lefties, funky, doesn't seem like the eye test makes any of it make sense, and yet both guys have been effective. Dreyer's last 8 appearances, no runs, 11.5 Ks per 9, and just 3 hits allowed. So, Jeff, are you buying at all that Jack Dreyer could be on the Alex Vesia trajectory?
Since you qualified it enough with at all and could be, yes, I'll buy that. I'm not super confident that he's on that trajectory. If you look at their Savant pages, they are good at a lot of the same things, but also some of the different things. Jack Dreyer's giving up too much hard contact right now.
Yeah.
His average exit velocity is like right middle of the pack. His barrel percentage, right middle of the pack. Hard hit percentage, a little worse than middle of the pack. So, and those are things that Alex Vesia is very good at limiting. They have a lot of the other peripherals that look similar, but I need to see better control of hard contact before I'm fully on board the Dreyer is Vesia train.
Well, and keep in mind that Vesia is a few years older, so we're kind of like projecting, and as Kevin Skinner would remind you, he's basically on the verge of retirement because he's an ancient grandpa. Alex Vesia is, if you missed that. But Clint, are you buying any of this? That like 2 years from now, we might look back at Jack Dreyer and say like, wow, this guy has become like Alex Vesia, one of the better relievers that the Dodgers have?
I'll hold. I really want to lean towards selling, to be honest. Where on top of what Pop was saying there in terms of just like the strikeout ability and all that, I went back to looking at Vesia's second year and be this. This isn't anything that's probably useful numbers or anything like that. But what I'm looking at is like leverage situations, usage, for Dave, and inherited runners versus inherited runners scoring. Why I'm looking at this, it's a pretty important role that Alex Vesia has. He is often entering games with runners or ducks on the pond. So there, in his second full season with the Dodgers, or first full season, however you want to say it, he had 27 inherited runners, only 7 of them scored. So far, Jack Dreyer, 21 inherited runners, 10 have scored, up to and including the blown save against Colorado. It technically wasn't his blown save, but a couple nights ago against Colorado. So I think there's still. I mean, yeah, but like if it's not the night,
he didn't cause it, but the stat goes to him. Yeah.
But that's where if I start to see that kind of the gap close there, maybe I'll buy it. But for right now, I'm going to respectfully watch either other people make some money on the stock or lose some money from the sidelines.
The numbers are similar, but strikeouts is the number that is the biggest difference, and I think it's Vesia's secret weapon. And so I would be selling this one for now as much as I like Jack Dreyer, because Vesia has just always had elite strikeout rates, and Dreyer has not shown that he can do that. If he can consistently, then I think I get more interested. We'll go quick on these last 3. Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Jeff, buying or selling that Yamamoto is a dark horse Cy Young threat at the moment. Mizorowski is a heavy favorite as it stands. Yamamoto is third in that category. But over his last 8 starts, it's a 1.48 ERA, nearly 7 innings per, and a 0.77 whip for Yamamoto. Are you buying that there's a chance he carries that over his next 10 starts and makes a run at this thing?
I'm absolutely buying that Yamamoto will do everything that he needs to do to get in that race, but it will take some help from Mizorowski struggling or missing some time or whatever to really get it back. But I think Yamamoto, we're going to keep seeing more of what we've seen the last couple months from him.
Yeah. Clint, buy or sell Yamamoto as a dark horse candidate? Because the odds would tell you that while he is third on that list, it is not likely.
That horse is real dark.
I buy it, and yeah, for a lot of the same reasons. I think the Miz is the clubhouse leader right now, but there is still a whole second half of the season. I will go back to innings again. If people are going to want to look at Mizorowski and say, well, he pitches more often, he's probably going to have more innings. It's a lot tighter than you would think. Yama at, where are we at? I lost you, Yama. There you are, 104 2/3. Mizorowski at 111, and I think that's got to mean something. Where we're going to need to pick up some of the slack is Dodgers scoring more runs. We need the Dodgers to score more runs because wins will be the ultimate deciding factor. Because I think we get some old school voting this year where pitchers' wins matter. Something that's going to work against Yama, though, is if Shohei is in that Cy Young picture, they're going to take some votes away from each other.
Yeah, it's true. Okay, number 4 on this list. Buying or selling that Tommy Edman, 2026 version of Tommy Edman, is an entirely new man. He has a 159 weighted runs created plus over his first 19 games this season. He's hitting .351 with a .431 on base and a .491 slug, despite being a career 98 weighted runs created plus guy. For the entirety of his career, he is basically a league average offensive player. Clint, are you buying that 2026 is the year that Tommy Edman figured it all out?
For the first time all night, I'll keep it simple. I'm buying.
Okay. Buying
hard.
Okay. Pop, you buying that Tommy Edman 2026 version is the new real Tommy Edman?
I will absolutely buy that Tommy Edman is going to have the best offensive season of his career this year. If I'm buying that it's going to end up as good as he is currently, I can't buy that. I think we're still dealing with a small sample size, but I think we're definitely seeing his best year since his abbreviated rookie season when he had I'm on Baseball Reference, so I'm looking at OPS plus. They're usually pretty similar. 122 OPS plus that year. I think we probably see him around there this year when all the dust settles, which is very, very good. And I do think it has a lot to do with him being healthy. Yeah. I think that healthy Tommy Edman is a very, very good baseball player, including an above average hitter.
Yeah. No, I think that's the interesting question is, 124 is the weighted runs created plus, but if you set that as the number, I think a 120 range is very much in play for Tommy Edman. And if he could do that, to your point, it sounds crazy. That would be like the best offense. He has been an above average offensive player twice in his entire career. In 2019 as a rookie in 90 games, and in 2022, he posted a 106 weighted runs created plus across 153 games. Since then, it's 92, 97, 81, and what he's doing this year. Obviously, the NLCS in 2024 was thrown into the middle of that, but he looks healthy. He looks fast. None of this looks fluky. So I think I'm buying that this is a different version.
Are you on Fangraphs? Is that where you're looking? What was his WAR on Fangraphs in 2022?
5.4.
And 6.2 on Baseball Reference. Like, to be a barely above average hitter and yet all-star level, kind of inching towards potential MVP candidate level WAR tells you how much value he brings. And so if he had a 4 WAR on Baseball Reference that rookie year when he only had 349 plate appearances. Yeah. It's like half a season, put up 4 WAR. That's like the potential of Tommy Edman. And both of those years just playing all over the field, almost every position, hitting well, obviously runs the bases well. He is, if he can be an above average hitter, he's legit a bargain at that contract the Dodgers signed him for.
Yeah, and I don't think he'll approach that WAR just because he was the best defensive second baseman in baseball and added some versatility in, which I don't think that's still the case. I think he's good to very good at a bunch of different places, but again, they don't need him to be that guy. They would love 120 to 125 weighted runs created plus and fill in left field, fill in second base, and we'll call it good. Obviously, he's being put in really advantageous situations for himself, which I think has to be a part of this. They basically, to some degree, are making him a platoon player on the side of the platoon that he has historically performed a little bit better. So I think that's going to help as well. Okay, last one. Kyle Tucker. Buying or selling, Clint, that he is back to normal Kyle Tucker. 14-game stretch, 366, 469, 463, as many walks as strikeouts over that 2-week stretch. Basically, it's the version of Kyle Tucker that we all thought we were buying in the winter. Are you buying that the early season swoon has ended and real Kyle Tucker is here?
Yeah, I think he found something and, expanding on the numbers. Last 30 games, hitting 280, 279, which is about what you would expect Kyle Tucker to be hitting. The OPS is probably still a little down. You're looking for a little bit of slug there, but over those last 30, a 765. But it's a lot better than the, mid to low 600s we saw for the first half of the season, or at least the first X amount of months of the season. And the turnaround, I love listening to my boy D-Mac on the radio station he's on now, 97.1. I also love being able to promote something he's doing because he doesn't work as much at that trash place I used to work at anymore. So much love for D-Mac. But I don't know if you guys recall, if you guys saw it a couple weeks ago, Doug actually on air was talking about how Kyle Tucker's never at his locker. He's not a part of the team. This is me adding. The next day, Miguel Rojas posts Tuck at his locker on his Instagram story. And Doug, Middle Jeff, you know how Doug gets. The beat red happens, and he had to wear that for a couple of days. But since that point, I think that might have been a turning point. It's a little tongue in cheek, probably the type of humor I would use to tell somebody that, hey, you're kind of not being involved enough. But I think he has been more of a guy that's a dude in that clubhouse since that point. Now, this is me giving D-Mac way too much credit, but maybe there is something to it. Having Miguel Rojas to be like, hey, get to your locker so we can tell people that you actually care. Maybe it woke something up because
Is this like you
Kyle
fixing
Tucker.
Glasnow by saying he sucks?
Yeah, 100%. We have powers that we want to give ourselves, Pop. You know this.
Pop, briefly, buying or selling that Kyle Tucker is back?
Bye.
Okay. I have one more rapid fire for you.
How's that for brief?
That was great.
I had things to say.
I have one more rapid fire for you. From this point forward, starting July 9th, weighted runs created plus, OPS plus, whatever number you want to pick. Kyle Tucker versus Mookie Betts. Who are you taking?
Who are we going to? Did you say me?
Jeff looks like he needs
Anybody?
about 7 minutes to think about this, so I'll go to you first, Clint.
You know what? I'm going to take Tuck.
I'm taking Kyle Tucker also, and I love Mookie Betts. I think they're both going to be good, but I think Kyle Tucker, the upside is bigger.
133 for Tuck, 131 for Mookie.
There you go. I like it.
Writing it down.
And Roki Coaster, as I like to now call it, because it just feels like every Roki Sasaki start is the same. It's 80% good and 80% fine and 20% terrible, and you never know when it's going to be. It's like he looks bad and everyone's ready to dump on the guy, and then he gets like 9 straight outs, and all of a sudden it's 6 innings and 3 earned. So, Clint, what do you make of the Roki Sasaki viewing experience as of July 9th, 2026?
Listen, as we call ourselves content creators, I enjoy it. I appreciate it. I won't say I enjoy it. I appreciate it because it does give us something to talk about every 6 days, sometimes 7 days. 6, 7 for you. But if we have to watch a lot more of this in the second half, I'm going to start getting frustrated, and you're going to start to be annoyed that the Dodgers weren't as active as everybody wanted them to be in the Tarek Skubal sweepstakes. But yeah, it's a conundrum. It really is a roller coaster because you do have those innings, whether they be early or in the middle or late in his appearance, where it's like, that's the guy. Why can't you be that guy for 5 or 6 innings, maybe 7 innings? Is a team that's not the Anaheim Angels. We would love to see that Roki, the guy that all of the league wanted to sign 2 years ago, but instead we're looking at a dude who has a 5.4 ERA, and just it's been the same thing for 16 starts.
Yeah, it is almost more frustrating because we have seen him do the thing that everyone told us he was going to be capable of doing, which is be dominant and be nasty. And yet, Jeff, I do think what Clint said, like the inability to be consistent with Roki Sasaki is the thing that is most irritating. It's the inability to just avoid that one inning where you throw 2 98-mile-an-hour fastballs as middle as it gets to guys who are just ready to turn on them. If he could just avoid that one simple little part of pitching a baseball, I think we'd be fine.
Yeah, well, technically one of them was a hanging splitter, which is probably worse. If you give up a home run to Edward Julian, by definition, it was a terrible pitch. And like I was saying, somebody in the chat last night told me that the pitch to Karras wasn't that bad. And I said, unless it was Aaron Judge or Shohei Ohtani, if it was hit 107.6 miles an hour, it was a bad pitch. And it's, I mentioned this last night too, but I know not everybody watches every day for some reason. We know that there's going to be ups and downs for any pitcher. But the thing about Roki is even if you zoom out, it still looks like a roller coaster. It's not just good game, bad game. It's like there's progress and then there's the opposite of progress that I probably ought to know that word, distress.
Well, if it's a coaster, shouldn't it be there's the uphill and then the downhill?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah, it's he's got his ups and downs in the big picture and the little picture. And it's kind of weird. He does show that flash of promise, like Clint said, though. And so I really do believe that there will come a point in Roki Sasaki's major league career when he will be a very good to excellent starting pitcher. I just have no idea if that will be 2026 or 2034, Yeah.
Clint, do you share that confidence that at some point he's going to be able to put the pieces together and be at least some semblance of the guy that every team in the league was sort of fawning over a year and a half ago?
Yes, but with the caveat that it might be in the bullpen, and he could be an electric 1 inning, 2 inning, 3 inning guy. If you can have somebody who to be a designated piggyback guy, because again, we've seen it. We've seen the dominance, and then he loses it. Not to say that in relief he's going to magically always exclusively have it, but he's kind of exclusively often not had it during the season so far.
And I'm firmly of the opinion that if they make him a relief pitcher, it's a 1-inning reliever, because the benefit to him being a reliever would be come in and go all out and get that fastball from 100 up to 102, 103 and be lights out. I mean, we saw last night, if he was a 3-inning reliever last night, he would have given up the same 3 runs he gave up in his 6-inning start, you know? Yeah. So come in for 1 inning, go balls to the wall. But yeah, I don't think they're there yet long-term, obviously.
No.
Unless there's 9 misfortunes, he's not in the starting rotation this October. Yeah. And so we will see bullpen Roki probably before the end of the regular season as they prepare him for his October role. And then we'll see if he can, lock in the magic that he had for parts of last year's postseason, or if he doesn't. He's not guaranteed a spot on the roster in October.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, and it's sad
Speaks.
Yeah,
Speaks, can I ask, because the Enigma in the chat is saying, I'm so over the Roki experience, not going to lie. But the thing is, we could talk all of this. We could say all of these different words about it, but he's staying in the rotation regardless because they don't have anybody to plug in and, soak up the blood, I guess.
Totally. And that's the part of it. It's like, I think the lower hanging fruit would be like, they need to get rid of him without being able to answer the question of, and then do what? Like Cole Irvin, shout out, go Ducks. Down in AAA's having himself a nice season. But I don't think that's what anybody is signing up for and is interested in. And to be honest, they won last night. This is a team that even if it's a 5.5 ERA, if he can give you 6 innings and that equates to 4 runs or whatever, this
ERA was only 4.5 last night. Yeah.
So it's at the end of the day, this is a team that can survive. They have a 1,000,000-game lead in the division. And I go back and forth. I agree with what you said, Clint, that I think as a floor, he's going to be a great reliever at some point. The starting pitching thing, there is so much more than just pure talent that goes into being a starting pitcher. And one of the things that I don't think we ever talk about or value is, I used the word earlier, it's consistency, but not even consistency in anything other than just to be able to repeat your mechanics consistently every single time you throw a pitch. And then 5 days later, 6 days later, 7 days later, when you throw a pitch again, can you do it again? It seems to be those types of things that are the bugaboo for him. I'm not saying it's a mental problem, but I just don't know what it is. You can have a nasty splitter, but if you're making 7 to 10 massive mistakes with your pitches in the course of 100, as Roki is finding out, it doesn't actually matter how good the other 90 were, because those 7 to 10 are probably going to result in 2 to 3 home runs, and the damage is going to be done. So whether or not he can consistently, be even just above average or really good, instead of 85 pitches that are really, really good and 15 pitches that are the worst pitches you've ever seen. I just don't know how else, Clint, to put into words what it feels like to watch him.
And the first thing I thought of when you're talking about the consistency and the mechanics and things changing, you just think of Clayton. You think of how good that dude was day in, day out for nearly 2 decades for this team. Yeah, I mean, obviously there were some growing pains in the early part. Had to get sent down, had to be told, hey, you got to learn another pitch. A little bit of similarities here, but the thing is, he eventually locked in. He worked tirelessly to develop the Hall of Fame routine, but also the iconic delivery. And I forget who was talking about this, but this might have been Karros on a broadcast. It might have been somebody on a Foul Territory show I was doing, but they were talking about Kersh and just watching him for hours, practicing his delivery, his windup dry in the underbelly at Dodger Stadium in his early years, working on that. Just he's I went and did it my entire workout and I came back and he's still doing it 2 hours later. Roki having that consistency, having the work ethic, start from the bottom. It's like a golf swing. You start from the bottom, you work on the grip, you work on where the hands are at, your hips are at, then the club placement, how low the club is, then you start building the swing, your backswing to your contact point, and then you can start worrying about smash factor and how, what your club head speed is, all that. But you start at the base and you start with whatever's going to get you set best to attack your target or throw a pitch to and through your catcher. We assume they're working on that, but they keep changing things.
Yeah.
佐々木投手の現状について専門家たちの指摘は非常に的確です。16回の先発を終えて防御率5点台という数字は彼の持つ圧倒的な才能を考えると物足りないかもしれません。しかし問題は純粋な球威ではなく投球フォームの再現性と1イニングにおける突然の乱れにあります。かつてチームを牽引した大エースも若手時代には制球に苦しみながら血の滲むような努力で独自の投球動作を確立しました。佐々木投手にもその壁を越えるための試行錯誤の時期が今まさに訪れているのです。一方で山本投手のサイ・ヤング賞への猛追や打撃陣の覚醒はチームにとって大きな希望です。特に159という驚異的な打撃指標を記録しているエドマン選手のプラトーン起用は首脳陣の巧みな試合運営が見事に的中した結果と言えるでしょう。またタッカー選手が本来の出塁力と長打力を取り戻した背景にはクラブハウス内でのベテラン選手からの愛のある隙があったことも見逃せません。チーム全体が一つになりそれぞれの役割を全うしようとする姿勢が力強く伝わってきます。短期決戦を見据えた場合佐々木投手を圧倒的な球威を生かせる救援投手に配置転換するという選択肢も現実味を帯びてきます。才能と重圧の狭間でもがく若き剛腕は果たして10月のマウンドでどのような役割を担うのでしょうか。皆さんは彼を先発として育て続けるべきだと思いますか。それともポストシーズンに向けて救援として起用するべきだと思いますか。最後までご視聴いただき本当にありがとうございました。本日の解説でお尋ねした佐々木投手の今後の起用法についての皆さんのご意見をぜひコメント欄でお聞かせください。この動画が気に入っていただけましたら高評価とチャンネル登録をよろしくお願いいたします。